Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, my friends. We got some news about the upcoming Lucy DLC for Guilty Gear Strive. Long awaited, highly anticipated, and no, we don't got a trailer. There will be a trailer at EVO though, that's been announced now, so look forward to EVO for that specifically, but we got a lot of news around her, and also, a big deal in and of itself, is that Cyberpunk Edgerunners 2 got announced. Not much details other than it'll be darker and sadder, apparently, which, it's gonna be harder to be darker and sadder than Edgerunners. And, well, no spoilers for the original show, but certain characters might not appear in the sequel, as also stated. Although, funnily enough, I guess Lucy, because, you know, she's in the DLC for Guilty Gear, and be a good marketing engine deal, right? Lucy's probably got the best chance of everyone to return, right? We'll see how that goes. But before we get to the Guilty Gear stuff, if you've never seen Edgerunners, legitimately 10 out of 10, fantastic. It has no right being as good as it is. You wouldn't think what is effectively just an anime ad for the video game would be like an all-timer, yet it still is. So, great stuff. But yeah, for the Guilty Gear news, and we got some news that wasn't necessarily expected, and on top of the Lucy stuff here, we had a panel over at Anime Expo featuring people from representatives from CDPR Red, and also Ken Miyuchi, who is one of the producers of Guilty Gear Strive. Basically, we got a bunch of info of what's to come. So once again, no gameplay trailer, that's at EVO, but I'll try to break it down in a somewhat rapid-fire format here. And a big one out of the gate was originally the plan wasn't Lucy in Cyberpunk. It was going to be Geralt or Ciri from The Witcher as like a guest character in Guilty Gear, which means Geralt has been robbed from his two-timer guest character status, because, you know, he's also been in Soul Calibur, right? So we're only got a few of those two-timers, you know, like Kratos and 2B, so not just yet Geralt. Also, David and Rebecca were both entertained as playable characters as well, but they decided on Lucy, just because Rebecca's more gun-focused, and we already got that with, you know, certain characters, and while Lucy can just be a bit more fun. And yes, she will use her monofilament wires. In the anime, Lucy doesn't like necessarily fight as much, but it is there and it's part of her moveset. And also there will be some hacking ability. And there will be reasons why like her cyberware abilities will work on the regular Guilty Gear cast. So it'll be explained in the lore. And that's actually one of the biggest reveals of this whole thing is, well, the lore. So they're not going to quite ham-fist it like many guest characters of fighting game past. Specifically here, you know, a lot of the lore dumps in Guilty Gear come from the various arcade modes. And her arcade mode is stated to be 3 times longer than anybody else's. So they're gonna be putting some stuff into it, basically. Obviously, it's gonna be in the Guilty Gear flavored context, but she's gonna get her stuff in. And basically, it's stated there'll be good reasoning for her to show up to begin with. Like, who knows, it'll actually be canonical, because that's always a mess. Like, technically, Akuma is canonical in Tekken, and then, you know, his disappearance in Tekken 8's just never brought up. But the appearance of Lucy is going to be a meaty one. To that point, there's going to be music from just Cyberpunk itself, and also Edgerunners going to be added to Guilty Gear, apparently. The context of which is not fully explained, but regardless, music from outside of Guilty Gear going into Guilty Gear. That's pretty cool. And they hinted at something akin to costumes. Now, we all know Arc System Works is generally light on the costumes. Like, we got like whatever they do in Grand Blue, and that's usually about it. But not ever really appearing in Guilty Gear properly, right? So, when it was put to the show floor, someone asked about Cyberpunk, you know, skins. Like, say, Adam Smasher Potemkin. And they said there's a plan for something, basically. At least some kind of... It could just be recolors that are Cyberpunk flavored, I don't know. But there's gonna be something cosmetically aligned with Cyberpunk. And you know what? For Guilty Gear, we'll take what we can get on that front, for sure. Also, when it comes to some of the fan questions here, I did mention at the start of the video that Cyberpunk Edgerunners is kind of dark and depressing. And they did mention, will there be a happy ending this time? And let's say, well, she'll find a way back home. As for other stuff for Lucy here, you're seeing here some previews for some of her moves. And they asked during the course of the panel, like, what's sort of the influence of CD Projekt Red over Arc System Works on this, right? And they said mostly ArcSys got to do whatever they kind of wanted, with a few exceptions. A few small things got disapproved, but otherwise Arc System Works got to do whatever they wanted with it, which is really cool. I like when the developer is allowed to be freeform with a guest. And when it comes to things like various Cyberpunk or Edgerunners Easter eggs, like, yeah, expect a bunch of those. And besides that, yes, they are working on the next balance patch. No, indication necessarily of who's getting buffed or nerfed, but there is at least one more new move coming. Was not stated for who exactly, but, a lot of the new moves that have been added to Guilty Gear, or, the later chunk of its life, they've all been very interesting, and generally have changed up the characters that got them in a pretty distinct way. So I'm interested to see what that will be. Maybe we'll get a hint with that with Lucy. I don't know. I'm assuming that patch will be out with Lucy, but that's definitely sometime after EVO. Hopefully not the same day as Sagat. They did state, unfortunately, Lucy will not be a grappler. I can only assume because they are cowards. And besides all that, a lot of questions were asked, a lot of them with no direct answers, like, hey, will BlazBlue and Guilty Gear ever collaborate directly? And they're like, yeah, can't talk about that. And that's not like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, can't talk about it. It's like, no, they can't talk about that, right? Like, because they can't say yes, because otherwise cat's out of the bag, and they can't say no, because that means they'd shut that down forever. So, no comment, right? I do like one thing that was mentioned by Ken specifically is, even though Arc System Works is very well known for working with other people's IP, like famously Dragon Ball FighterZ, the upcoming Marvel Tokon, right? They stated specifically the Guilty Gear team doesn't, because the Guilty Gear team is not the Marvel Tokon team or the Dragon Ball FighterZ team, right? So when it came to doing work with other companies, they kind of had to ask around the other divisions in the company. It's like, well, how does this stuff work actually? And the question that was asked that kind of caught both Ken from ArcSys and the CD Projekt Red rep by the surprise was, well, will be any backporting of Guilty Gear into, say, the upcoming Cyberpunk 2? And then they're both like, actually, that's not a bad idea. So if there's like a Guilty Gear music station in the next game, that question literally might have spawned it. And that's sort of the big stuff. So I hope Lucy's a little weird. Like, Unica was really cool. But she's like playing it a little bit safe, especially, when heavily inspired by Kai moveset. Guilty Gear is always best when it does like weird characters that other fighting games just can't do. So hopefully with like the monofilament wires and like the hack stuff, she can do something that's just uniquely Guilty Gear. Also, just to shame somebody here. So they ended Q&A with a person. It's like, I got 4 questions. That's too many questions. And they said specifically, okay, shorten it down to 2. Then they asked all 4 questions anyway. Don't do that. Who do you think you are? The next person in line was like in full Kai cosplay, and they didn't get to ask their question because you asked 4. It ain't right, is what I'm saying. When you're in line to ask questions, just show some etiquette, is all I'm saying, basically. But besides all that, that is the news for the moment, so we'll know more come EVO, and look forward to that, but till then, that's the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching, hope this video has found you well, and go out and, play Guilty Gear, go play some Guilty Gear, but also legitimately go watch Edgerunners. It's, like, world-class great.